Hi, it's your girl, the Sassy Engineer. I just came back from the Festival of Cultures in Palmerston North. It's an annual event that we do here. That's why my face is looking like this. I got a face paint from Nigerian 10. What I really want to address in this video is a common question that I have been asked as a Nigerian who lives in New Zealand and as someone who makes content about coming to New Zealand, life in New Zealand and traveling New Zealand, just basically everything New Zealand. I have been asked this question a lot. Can I come to New Zealand on a visitor visa and then convert it to a work visa? The number of people that have asked me this question, I cannot explain. And I think it's because of the rise of bloggers and people who are now making posts on New Zealand and telling people that you can come to New Zealand and convert your visa to a work visa. Now, don't get me wrong. The visitor visa allows many things. You can come on a visitor visa as a nurse and work, get your New Zealand license. Before all these changes, you could come on a New Zealand visitor visa for a job interview. But the main aim of a New Zealand visitor visa is to come and enjoy the country. Many people are saying that you can come here, convert your visitor visa to a work visa. But there are certain things that you need to know before you even get into that journey, because it is easier said than done. I have a feeling that this video is going to be long, so I'm going to divide it into parts if it's long. But let's see how I go. The first thing that you have to know is that when you apply to New Zealand, one of the things that makes you stand out is your passport. Your passport determines a lot of things, not just New Zealand. This is worldwide. Beside your passport, you need to have money. You know the minimum amount that New Zealand wants as a visitor, which is $1,000 per month or $400 if you have a pre-booked accommodation. You need to have that amount in your account before you even start thinking about applying. And I think that the more money you have, the more chances you get to have a longer duration for your visitor visa. The immigration officer also has to be convinced that your intentions are genuine. So those are two things that I've mentioned now, your passport and money. The next thing is the time. How long are they going to give you on that visitor visa? Again, it depends on your passport and how much money you have and many other things. When you apply for this visa, you're not sure how long they're going to give you because it says up to 9 months. It does not mean that they're going to give you 9 months. And the New Zealand government has adjusted the visitor visa to look like a digital nomad visa, where if you have a remote job, you can come to New Zealand and enjoy yourself while you're working for your remote employer, not a New Zealand employer. That's where I think you can get a longer duration of time. If you do not have a remote job, or you don't show that you have a remote job that you can come to New Zealand and then work for that remote employer, the chances of you getting that long duration 50-50. The duration of the visitor visa greatly impacts your chances of converting that visitor visa to a work visa. And besides, they use the word converting loosely. You are not going to say, okay, I have a work visa and they convert. You are going to have to apply for a work visa, a new visa application, and that is a whole different requirements, criteria, etc, etc. So let's say you pay the $441 for your visa application. You consider flight. Coming to New Zealand from most countries is more expensive than going from New Zealand to those countries. Nigeria, for instance, if flight is $4,000 from New Zealand to Nigeria, you're definitely going to be paying at least $4,500 from Nigeria to New Zealand. The current exchange rate for New Zealand to Nigeria is about $1,000. 4,500 is 4.5 million. That is for flight. You have to also show that you have $1,000 per month, which means 1 million per month. So that means if you can show 3, 4, 5 million, maybe this is a big maybe, they can give you for 3 months, but that is not something that is straight black and white. Another cost implication is accommodation. You're going to have to stay somewhere now, and hotels here are at least $100 per night, except you're going to stay at a backpacker, which means you're going to be sharing room with people, like dormitory, hostel. Airbnb, depending on where you are, you can get $60 per night, and you need this for a long period. That is also money. Then imagine after applying, they now give you 1 month. What are you really going to do in 1 month? I mean, you could say, my luck is different, but really, what are you really going to do in 1 month? Let's say you now get the visa, you've booked the accommodation, money is not a problem for you. You now arrive in New Zealand, the jobs. You will be competing with every other person that is in New Zealand. So you need to have skills that stand out, because here in New Zealand, there's not a lot of Nigerian businesses. You have Asian, Chinese, India and Filipino. There's a lot of businesses. That is why it's very possible for them. And besides, they live close by. Asia is just here now, so their flight ticket is cheap. So you have those, because when they come and they have all those skills, they can find jobs easily compared to you. You will be competing with the rest of us. And by the rest of us, I mean both the Kiwis, the immigrants as well. And imagine if you are given 1 month, the kind of headache that you have, nobody will be able to explain it to you. I'm telling you. So these are some things that people don't take into consideration. Now, you'll be aiming for 9 months, but again, remember I said up to 9 months. It's not a guarantee that they will give you 9 months. The most I have seen is 3 months, and I don't think that person was Nigerian, so I can't remember. Was it Nigerian? And you can do a lot with 3 months too, but I've also seen 1 month. It's very, very stressful. So what some people do is that some of them come and get a student visa, because sometimes, you know, they want to be on ground and do the running. Another thing that happens is some employers will tell you, we would have employed you. Like I'm saying, those who are saying, okay, this visitor visa route is very expensive. I'm going to apply for work and then get a work visa directly from Nigeria or from wherever I am. And then you start applying for work. You hear employers telling you, we would have taken you, but if only you were in New Zealand. 99.9% that employer is not accredited. If an employer tells you that, oh, can you find a visa and come to New Zealand, or visitor visa and come, maybe 99.9% that employer is not an accredited employer.
It's either that or they don't want to employ you, so they're looking for an easy way out.
When you're applying for work, make sure that your employer is an accredited employer. It also goes to those who finally come to New Zealand on a visitor visa and they want to apply for work, for jobs. Whoever you are going to work for has to be an accredited employer, because New Zealand has made it such that only accredited employers can hire migrant workers. And the fact that you're in New Zealand does not mean that you are not a migrant worker. So far as you are not a permanent resident or a citizen, you are a migrant when it comes to work. Still on work, the government is cutting down a lot of government jobs. Getting job in New Zealand is hard now. You really need to stand out. What I mean by stand out, your skills need to stand out, and you need to apply to as many as possible. As many as possible, not just do one this week, do another one this week, as many as possible. And each time you need to tweak your visa your CV to match the job that you're applying for. A lot of people are looking for jobs, a lot of people are looking to change jobs, but the way the government is these days is because of cost of living and all that. They are cutting on things. Government workers, some of them are sleeping with one eye open, because you never know, tomorrow the government will announce we are cutting 1,000 staff from this ministry. It's not easy. Most people that are applying for work and saying you cannot find work, it's because even us in New Zealand, we cannot find work. Everybody is hustling. Does that mean there are no jobs? No, people are still coming to New Zealand with jobs, employed from outside. So yes, can you come to New Zealand and then get a job and apply for a work visa? It's possible. It's been done before by many people, but is it easy? It's not easy. It's also very expensive. So these are things that you have to put into consideration. And one more thing, NZETA is not a visa. If you are not from a visa waiver country, you cannot fly into New Zealand on an NZETA. If you want to come to New Zealand, you have an NZETA, you have to go via cruise, and there is no cruise from Nigeria to New Zealand, which means that you have to go to another country that has cruises that come to New Zealand. That's another expense. And when you come to New Zealand, you are still a visitor. You are just there for the duration that your cruise ship is going to be in New Zealand for, or 28 days, whichever is shorter. Once that is over, you have to go back, follow that cruise and go to wherever they're going. If you want to stay back in New Zealand legally, you need to apply for relevant visa, which means that's extra money and time. And the chances they are going to give you is also not 100%. So can you really come to New Zealand on a visitor visa and then convert, as they say, to a work visa? It's possible, but it is easier said than done. And if you're a Nigerian, it is very, very expensive. But if you say, we die here, I want to still come, this is what you need to do. You have to get a visitor visa. How you're going to convince the immigration officer that you are a genuine visitor, your intentions are genuine, is up to you. But that is step one. When you get the visitor visa, you arrive in New Zealand, you need to get a job with an accredited employer. If the employer is not accredited, that's on you. There are eligibility criteria to even get that. That is two. Once you get a job, you have to now apply for a work visa. But if you get a job that meets the criteria, your chances are really high, except your employer flops. But you definitely will have a work visa. It might just take a little bit of time, but you will get your work visa. And you may probably have to go back, Nigeria somewhere, but you will get your work visa. And once you get your work visa, that's it. You come to New Zealand, start your job, and progress from there. Happy to contribute my little knowledge to this field. I hope that explains a lot.